welcome to WCCF Tech after a few weeks off. Again. Life.
Yeah.
Life is horrible. Life
COVID
is horrible. Yes, yeah. Somebody else caught... You caught COVID after I caught it, so that's it. COVID. Killing everything and other things. So anyway...
Francesco
Go on.
is the only one who didn't get
Well,
it.
I might have got it. You know, I might have got it last summer, but it lasts like 2 days, so I really didn't make a big deal out of it. But okay, I might have had it. I didn't get tested because I had no reason to, so I don't know if it was that. It might have, but
Yeah.
I'm still alive, so
Well,
that's fine.
I mean, commiserations.
Yeah.
You still have to be alive in this world.
Yeah, that's true.
So, speaking of commiserations, let's get started with something I said was going to die when it first was announced. Stadia is gone. I am shocked. I am shocked. I am shocked. It's not like every other prediction I've ever made. It's a prediction I made came true. It's like
but this one was easy.
Don't you start. I made a prediction within...
This one was easy.
To be fair, I made a prediction before it even released.
I mean, there is good reason. There is something called the Google graveyard for a reason. So
there is that, but there is also, same as I said back then, and it's still true now. Well, we have got the infrastructure for cloud in certain parts. No business can be fully based on the cloud at the... no gaming business can be fully cloud-based at the moment. There's far too much of the world's population that just doesn't have that infrastructure there. I mean, here in the UK, it's still not even there fully. In America, it's just an absolute shit show. There's only a handful of places where you can really say that you'll get that full experience, and I suppose Japan, a good portion of Japan in the cities, and South Korea. Everywhere else, you're just really shit out of luck.
Chris, but it's not really that, to be honest. There are many other cloud gaming services, some big, some small, like Antstream Arcade. There are a few for arcade games. And overall,
but
the cloud gaming
arcade
market
games don't require that much.
Rising. It's rising a lot. Like if you check out this week's Newzoo report, it's projected to be 2.4 billion this year. And by 2025, in 3 years, it's projected to be 8 billion. So it's not insignificant at all. Of course, it's not.
I'm not saying it's insignificant. It's just out of
Stadia didn't die because the cloud doesn't work. Stadia died because Google is idiotic.
Stadia also died because it was too early. Same as anything else. Like you mentioned Antstream. That doesn't. I've used Antstream. That doesn't require the same level of infrastructure as streaming Destiny would, or as it would to require you to stream Call of Duty or any other AAA game. You're talking a magnitude of 10,000 probably difference. The actual requirements on the infrastructure.
The requirements are minimal. If you actually look at playing at 1080p, there are very, very good decoders now. There's even the new AV1 decoder that's even more efficient.
Yeah,
the software
as I say, things are improving, but cloud, same as I've said before, cloud will not be a significant portion. I'd say at least another 5 years. At least another 5 years. The figures you've just said there, I mean, was it 8 billion by 2025?
Yeah, 8.1 billion.
So by 2025, 8 billion will be about 5% of the market?
Yeah,
if
I mean, you don't, You don't need to have 50% of the
No.
gaming market to be successful.
No, I'm not
You know?
saying it won't be successful. I'm just saying that cloud will not be will not be the widely same as I've said before. Cloud will not be the widely utilized go-to thing, and I mean that even in a small portion where 20%, it won't hit 20% until the national infrastructure is there in a wide number of countries, and we've got 5G, so it's fine for mobile. You can get the mobile side of things, but that then you've got the limited aspect of streaming via mobile, and even then you're still a bit shit out of luck if when you've got a few brick walls between you. I mean, even even internally, when you've got a router in your house, you go 3 rooms away, and it can be a right ball ache just because of the walls. So we are going to always have certain limitations. Once the infrastructure is there, and same as I mentioned, America in particular, Britain is improving. Once we've got that improved network capabilities, cloud will really, I genuinely think cloud will really come into its element. We've already got away from physical games to a lot, digital's overtaken physical now. That is just what it is. So the next step will be cloud. I do think to an extent people will always want to own something. Though even now, the reality is, do you really own the games? Because that's what we're going to come to when it comes to Stadia. Stadia is shutting down, and you're not getting refunds. That means you don't
Oh,
own shit.
no, you're getting
At least you're
refunds.
getting the money back. At least.
No, you are getting refunds.
Well,
They said they are going to refund all purchases, actually.
Okay, fair enough. Well, Stadia is shutting down, and then
Not only software, also hardware, if you bought the controller and stuff. So
I got it free.
on that count, it's hard to fault them, because certainly it doesn't happen with all of the
No.
companies that shut down a service.
No, I'll say fair play to that. Fair play to Google for that, but it was dead on arrival. I said I quit.
I think the main issue was their business model, because you had to buy these games that you don't own. I see something like Game Pass or even GeForce Now that you can stream stuff you have. So I think that I don't know. I think it would have gotten more people on board, because I can play something outside the house, for example, and then when I come back home, just buying a license to stream. I don't think it made for good marketing.
It's a weird. It's like you say, it's a weird one. I mean, with game, essentially, it probably would have worked better if it was Netflix for games and it had more games on there. Because, like you say, Game Pass is working in that respect to a good degree. But Game Pass has obviously got the support of a full console ecosystem behind it. That it's a building block that's been going on since the original Xbox. So
that's the thing. I mean, Microsoft has the resilience. Now it's been over 20 years since it's entered the gaming market. Stadia folded within a couple of years. So that's the real difference between the two. They didn't have vision to understand that, to make games you need time. Like they shut down the Jade Raymond studio within 1 year of building it or something. So that was hilarious. Like I said, Google really didn't have a clue what they were doing in the gaming space. I think that's the worst part.
It will be interesting to see if Luna, is it? Amazon Luna? That's sort of really gone quiet.
Yeah, they are still adding games, but I think it's quiet. Amazon is more. It's more about the long run. So maybe they
100%.
they don't advertise it for some time a lot, but they start adding games, and until it's ready, when it's ready, they will make a big deal out of it. Maybe. And
As
like you said,
Amazon's certainly more likely to stay with it on the long haul.
Yeah.
But same as I've always said, and I'll keep repeating the same thing. The technology exists, but the infrastructure isn't there to get it to the wide enough number of people. Until it exists, the market is the video games industry market is open to, let's say, 3 billion people. The top end cloud gaming market is open to a fraction of that, maybe 150, 200 million people. It's good, but it's a fraction. And that's until the infrastructure's there, cloud gaming will, as a pure own thing for the top end games, will always struggle. Your entities like Antstream, they've got that point where they can, they're streaming, and they're streaming old games. They've got that nostalgia cake, as well as
there is Shadow, for example. There are many GeForce Now, and of course Game Pass, even PlayStation's PS Now. Now it's.
But again, I mean, GeForce Now's it's the games you already own, so it's just moving as you go. Where your PlayStation Pass and Game Pass, as we've just said, it's all tied into the infrastructure of the consoles, and they've also got the whole fact that, do you still require them to play online? If you do, then that's still bullshit. But it shows how much I pay attention to my PlayStation now and my and other consoles. It's like the PC lets you play games online for free.
Yeah. No,
I've always wondered about that.
Even I think actually Sony allowed it for the PS3. PS3.
Very early days they did, and then they gated it. Same as Nintendo have gated it.
Yeah.
It's just a way to force people to pay a subscription by literally taking something away.
Well, at least for the Switch, it doesn't cost that much. The basic subscription.
Yeah.
I think it's like €20 a year. It's not that much.
It's also pretty shitty, what comes.
It is pretty shitty. But...
So
still bullshit though. Still bullshit. That literally they've taken away something that was free and said you now must pay this for now. So I complained about this years ago. So yeah.
You know how they did that with the cheat codes that were once in games. Now they've become paid DLC.
Yeah.
A booster. How they call them
Big
now?
Head
Boosters.
mode, yeah, and things
Stuff like that. Yeah.
No, the games industry. How shit it is. And people bought into it because Microsoft started it and people bought into it. Oh, you need to pay us because it's on our servers. No, it's not. 90% of the games were peer-to-peer.
Yeah.
Well, but with the original Xbox, I think they were just pioneers in that sense with the console online gaming.
Pioneers in bullshit.
Yeah, well, that too, but...
Because the only other I remember playing games online on the PlayStation 2, Twisted Metal.
I remember doing that on the Sega Dreamcast. I was playing Marvel vs. Capcom 2 online with a 56K connection.
Oh dear. Anyway,
and it kind of worked.
Stadia's dead. You're getting refunds. I am as shocked as when the sun rises in the morning.
But they also said that the technology will live on. So basically, as other rumors have said previously, they are going to sell the technology to game companies and other people who can make use of it. Maybe even during game development, it can be useful to, when you're testing a game. So it will live on, just not, directly to consumers.
Yeah. Oh dear. So, well, there's not really much more to say about that
No.
than I called it. same as everything else in the world. It seems to be at the
This
moment.
this one was easy.
Yeah, but in my defense, I also called the US making deals with Venezuela a day before it came out in the news. I called the today's destruction of or damage of the
We don't care.
Crimean or
It's not
Kerch
gaming.
Bridge.
It's not a war
It's
podcast.
me just being right all the time. I love it. I'm
But
always
these are
right.
these are easy. You're still not right on
No, no,
Square
no, no, no.
Enix getting bought by
The
Sony.
Venezuela thing was not easy.
You're still not. We still don't know if you're right about Sony buying Square Enix.
Well, I
Yeah.
did say Square Enix would get sold, and the Western part did get sold.
Well, it's
So
Yeah.
I'll call it.
50% win.
I will no. I'll not be too greedy. I'll say I'll call it a 33% win so far, and then when the rest happens, I get the other 66%.
Because this is easy to see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But anyway,
Yeah.
talking about Sony and before they eventually buy the rest of Square Enix.
Could have you predicted this that they were remaking another recent game?
I was going to first start as how they're teasing PC and games as a service investment, and then I was just going to make a joke and actually say, well, actually, no, it's not games as a service anymore. It's just remakes as a service.
Well, I didn't know that.
That's all it is. That's all Sony are doing at the moment. Remakes as a service. What's next?
Remaking's a remake.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's basically what they did with
Well,
The Last
I'm
of
going to
Us.
say they've already done
from the
that with
remaster.
Last of Us.
Well, it's the remake. It's the remake from a remaster, so that kind of counts.
I mean, yeah. The thing with Horizon is even more outrageous because Horizon Zero Dawn is only 5 years old. So
So I've got things in my freezer older than that.
yeah, it's but it's really all about synergy with the TV shows. I think if you take a look at the adaptations, that's really where Sony's focused. They are trying to get more people into the franchises before the adaptations. All right,
Yeah.
so that's really what this is all about. I don't know. It's weird, honestly, but I understand the business perspective. I'd say.
I understand it. I fully understand it. I just think it's a bit, yeah. It's no wonder. It's like, yeah, buying Nixes and Blue Point was so, yeah, so clearly aimed at just remaking every single game Sony have ever made. I'm just trying to think now. What other games could Sony remake? Are we
God
gonna
of
get?
War.
Yeah.
God of War. It's
They'll be
only 4
remaking God
years
of.
old.
They'll be remaking God of War Ragnarok before the end of fucking 2023.
Twin
Yeah.
Pack. They're going to remake both.
Uh,
They could remake Days Gone, so more people will play it.
yeah.
It's old. It's too old. It's time to remake it. It's too old. It's like
I'm
3
just
years
waiting.
old.
Yeah, yeah, no, it is getting old now. Yeah, you probably will end up finding that we end up with a Bloodborne remake, especially now they've gone further into.
The thing with Bloodborne is that it would be, it kind of deserves it because of how it runs on PlayStation 4, which it runs
Yeah.
like shit, like complete shit. So that
You
would
know,
be a good thing.
actually, going back to the statements from Herman Alst, there might be a tease about that because he also said, about the From Software investment, where basically Sony bought, I think, 14% shares in the company, and Tencent bought another 16. So when he commented on the investment, he said of course, there's going to be further collaboration with Sony on the game studios,
Yeah.
but also he hinted at possible transmedia collaboration. So maybe they are thinking about the Bloodborne adaptation, and in that
Possibly.
sense, it
I
would.
wouldn't be. I think a Dark Souls rather than a Bloodborne show would be more realistic.
I don't know. I think Bloodborne is just
Yeah,
it's more
Bloodborne
personable. It's
has
easier
a
to
more
recognize.
unique setting.
No, I understand what you mean about the setting, same as anything, but I think Dark Souls has got the bigger name branding, the name recognition. I think
Well, at
that's
this point, at this point, it's Elden Ring that has the
well, yeah.
better
There's that as well.
thing
It could end
out.
up just being an Elden Ring TV series,
Yeah,
yeah. Um,
the name
I
is out now and it's
yeah,
popular.
But the thing is, with Elden Ring and Dark Souls, they would have to pay to Bandai Namco as well. I think. I'm not sure if
True.
they. While Bloodborne is owned by Sony.
yeah.
You know,
I don't.
yeah, true.
Aren't the
But I don't know
IPs
if
all
they
owned
enjoy.
by From Software?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think
Yeah, I think.
Bandai Namco just publishes in the
Yeah,
West.
I believe it's just the publishing for that. Yeah, I'm fairly sure From Software own the IP rights, so you wouldn't need to involve them. I don't even know if Activision owned the rights for Sekiro.
But
In fact, I'm fairly certain From have the IP rights for Sekiro as well.
But from Sony's perspective, making their own IP, which is Bloodborne, would still make more sense.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. I know. I understand what you're saying. I'm just thinking as a grander scale sort of thing where.
Well, they do have Demon Souls as well, and it's basically that fantasy dark fantasy setting. So
We are missing the most important thing here. When are Sony going to remake Knack? I mean, come on, it's about time now, and
it's
obviously
very old
it's
now.
like and a bit of Siphon Filter. Come on.
Well, that one would be good. That one would be good actually. I don't think there's that much interest
No, probably not.
in that one.
Though, yeah. What is it? Is the Twisted Metal coming back now?
Yeah, I think they're doing. I think they're doing a TV show too. So that's
So that's what I mean. So
that's
you never
coming
know.
back.
Twisted Metal's coming back, so we could, get a bit of knack as well, and yeah, maybe not.
They have all those JRPGs they've put to the side.
Oh.
Legend of Dragoon, Wild Arms,
Ark the Lad.
Ark the Lad. Yeah,
Yeah.
they just put them to the side. They're not profitable. We don't care.
I mean, I wouldn't even be surprised to find another Infamous game coming soon.
Well, Sucker Punch is now all about Ghost of Tsushima, I think.
Yeah, I know, but if they expand the studio enough, they could get another Infamous out of them. It wouldn't surprise me. Infamous was reasonably popular, and it did well, so...
Yeah.
And another Little Big Planet's been dead for a while. I mean, yeah, we got Sackboy, but that's not a proper Little Big Planet.
Yeah, well, you got the creation stuff was pretty much
Dreams.
ported to Dreams, yeah. That's the game that should come out on PC, and they still don't bring it.
No, I know.
That would be perfect for PC, but they're still not doing that.
Right. So we've decided we need a new Knack, we need a new Siphon Filter, a new Infamous, and I suppose for the shooter people out there, a new Killzone. Because it's probably going to be Killzone, which they
may be doing it though, because
Killzone they probably will do because of the Call of Duty shit.
Yeah, I mean, we know that Guerrilla is, they have another team with the game director who's been on Rainbow Six Siege before, so it seems quite obvious that he's directing a shooter game. So but anyway, going back to the remake things, I think if they really are going to do something with From Software and maybe adapt Bloodborne, even possibly, I don't know, something like an anime series, then it will be really stupid if they if they don't remake or at least remaster Bloodborne for PC as well and PS5. Because it's like the number one thing PlayStation fans
Yeah.
have been asking for a long time, and it would sell really well, I think.
Oh, it'll be coming. It'll be coming.
Yeah.
Oh, and while we're on a tangent, Colony Wars and G Police. I loved those games. Bring them
Yeah, I
back.
remember them.
Yeah,
I don't remember the developers. What's
Psygnosis. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Francesco may not be off that much with the Days Gone prediction because actually in late August, Deadline reported that they are doing a film adaptation of that. So if they are doing a film adaptation, chances are we might get
They've
a
already done
remaster.
it already exists. It's called The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Well, it's a sequel to The Walking Dead. Days Gone, a Walking Dead story.
It's The Walking Dead with
Well, no,
bugs.
it's not. It's not The Walking Dead. It's The Riding Dead because you're on a
They're
motorbike.
already dead.
It's as if
That I think it was called Dead
Dead
Don't
Chopper.
Ride during development. Yeah.
Dead
it was-
Chopper. Oh, Sons of the Dead. No, Sons of the Dead don't. I was thinking Sons of Anarchy and then something
yeah,
with Dead.
yeah.
Zombies of Anarchy.
Zombies of Anarchy.
See,
Walking
Sony,
Anarchy.
you need to hire me. I've got all the crap names.
Yeah, and he wants to remake games released 2 years ago.
No. I
Time to
want
remake Demon Souls remake, Sony. Come on.
No, we need
Give
to
me that.
remake. We need to bring back G Police and Colony Wars, and Dark Cloud, and Knack, just to spite everybody who hates Knack, including me. Anyway, I think that's enough. So, well, yeah. So Horizon Doo. I loved Horizon Zero Dawn, so I think a remake's a bit bullshitty because it's not that old and it still plays.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still it's a modern game.
I mean, yeah. But, luckily that's not all they are doing, right, Francesco? I think there have been some leaks about upcoming PlayStation games.
Yeah. Apparently they're even doing a multiplayer game for Chris's Joy based on the Horizon franchise.
Oh.
Yeah.
This is for you.
Why
must-
so you
why
stop
must
complaining and talking shit about that?
Why must everybody ruin everything by including human beings? Have you not looked at planet Earth? We fucked it up.
Maybe you can control only machines only. Humans controlling machines. What can go wrong?
You can go against the puny humans with, I don't know, big dinosaurs.
Oh, no. Please no. You've just made me think it's going to be another one of those fucking 4v1 asymmetrical multiplayer games. So
like
it's
that
going to
by
be
Daylight,
Evolve but Horizon. So rather than controlling a big mutated creature, you're just controlling a big robot creature. No, bad Sony, bad. No, put down the development tools. Put down the development tools. Go into the corner. Bad.
Okay, well, Horizon multiplayer I think could be very cool, even if Chris doesn't like it. But there are other games in the leaked list, and one of them is Death Stranding 2, where apparently Elle Fanning has been confirmed to be featured.
Yeah,
and,
well, Hideo Kojima tweeted about it this morning.
Yeah, and beyond that, there is an Unreal Engine 5 survival horror game from Firesprite. There is a PS5 vehicular combat game that could be the Twisted Metal remake thing. And there is also, from London Studio, a live service title for Chris's Joy, codename Camden.
It's going to be The Getaway, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess The Getaway Online, maybe.
Wouldn't surprise me. Genuinely wouldn't surprise me. It's like everybody's seen how good bloody GTA Online's done. It prints more money than prostitutes. So, like, the Getaway Online, it's like, yeah, essentially just making GTA Online but London. So, in other words,
They already did
just
that.
going to London.
They already did that. There was a GTA London.
No, I know there was a
The
GTA
old
London,
one,
but I
yeah.
mean like a GTA
Yeah,
Online
like
but set
that.
in
Modern,
London.
yeah.
It was top down. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Oh
was.
dear. Back when
Yeah, it was
games were
like an
simple.
expansion of the first one, I think.
Uh,
The original GTA London, I think it was an expansion of the first one.
yeah,
Or
I
the
couldn't
second.
remember if it was the
I don't
first or
remember
second
that.
one.
Yeah. It was a top-down, old
It
style
was
thing.
indeed.
And
So
there
yeah,
is also a PC and PS5 survival horror game from Ballistic Moon, which is a studio founded by Supermassive veterans. So it's likely something that Chris will enjoy because he loves Supermassive.
I do. I enjoy all horror games. I like horror. Love horror. So give me more horror.
Okay. But apparently, we also just heard that, we already knew about Silent Hill, but the film director also said there are multiple games on the way.
I linked it last night, didn't I?
We
We knew
know
there
that.
were games on the way. We know the rumors. I've heard outside of rumors that it's all, essentially had it all but confirmed directly. We know that. I forgot their name.
Bluebird Team.
That's the ones.
Yeah.
We know Balloon Team are making Silent Hill.
Yeah, Silent Hill 2 remake, I think. That's,
We know.
That's it.
Well, yeah. We know they're making a Silent Hill anyway, and the rumors are all Silent Hill 2 remake. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's also another.
I've had it all but
There should be
confirmed.
another. Yeah. Well, there should be another game like developed by. They haven't. We don't know who's developing it, but I think there are people from Japan involved.
Oh, it's going to be Konami's internal team. It's going to be Metal Gear Silent Hill Survive.
Silent Hill Survive.
No, bad Konami. No.
Well, bad Konami is for everything.
No, do not listen to me. No, that was a joke. Bad.
Don't taunt them. They may do Suikoden multiplayer survival. Don't taunt them. They're bringing it back. Let's leave it. It at that.
And that's another thing you
Don't
just
provoke
reminded
them.
me. That's another thing I predicted.
Ah. I should have said that.
I said that was. I tell you, it's like. I think was it Hassan or Usman who said it on the chat earlier today. I'm like the Cassandra of the world. I predict things, they come true, and nobody ever listens to me.
Why don't you predict me getting rich?
I predict things that are coming true.
Oh, thank you.
When I get it in my head that you may get rich, I will tell you, and then you'll still not listen to me.
I do listen to you. It's just that I have fun doing this. I had to give it to you, but the Suikoden thing was difficult. I didn't believe it. This one was difficult.
Okay.
They're all difficult. It's just that I'm right. Anyway, remaining projects. CD Projekt Red. They're having to jump back on, go back to old territory and regain some favour. So we're getting about 500 Witcher projects.
Yeah, they have a lot coming. But it's not all going to be done by them.
No.
They've also said that there will be a spin-off made by a third-party studio, but it's being founded by former CD Projekt developers who have worked on The Witcher before, so supposedly they should know what they are doing. Also, they are doing eventually they will do a Cyberpunk sequel called Orion right now, and also even they are incubating a new IP. This one fully owned, of course, because both Cyberpunk and The Witcher are not theirs. to begin with, so they obviously want.
I think it will be interesting to see like you said, the third party. It is a CD Projekt owned studio as well. It is a fully owned studio, and I mean they've made two. Well, I've only played one of them, one of their games, but I played Drake Hollow, made by the Molasses Flood, and that wasn't a bad game. I just think it's going to be interesting to see how they design their new Witcher game. Is it going to be a sort of isometric thing? Is it going to be top down? Is it going to be whatever? I can't see them making what we would see as a traditional Witcher game.
No, but that's another project. Basically, Molasses Flood is doing Project Sirius, which will likely be smaller scope. Then there is a third-party studio that's doing Project Canis Majoris, which is open world RPG like regular The Witcher games. So they are separate. Molasses Flood.
Oh yeah.
And another
You just said
studio.
a third party, so I thought, well, I just thought of Molasses Flood. They're technically third, but they're owned by CD Projekt.
Yeah, and also, well, they are doing a trilogy of new Witcher games themselves, and they have an ambitious goal to basically release the third one 6 years after they release the first one. So basically, they have 2 years, 6 years to make the remaining two games.
I remember when BioWare was starting a new trilogy in the Mass Effect universe too.
That did end well.
I'm not saying this is going to end. This is not a prediction. It's just an observation. I remember when the well-celebrated Mass Effect trilogy was starting a brand new trilogy.
Yeah, well, I really don't see them sticking to this plan.
No, not a chance in hell.
It's impossible. If they're doing the usual
I will predict. There's
things.
no way they're getting a brand new Witcher trilogy out within 6 years from this announcement.
Well, if they rush it and it ends up shit.
It's not 6 years by this announcement. It's 6 years by the time the first one releases.
Oh, okay, so what they can do is develop all 3 games, take 20 years to develop all 3 games, and then just release them.
Yeah, well, release them one after the other, yeah.
Yeah. That's a smart plan, to be fair.
Seriously, what they've said basically is that they want to do the foundation of the first one.
Yeah.
And then, once they have their expertise with the Unreal Engine, then it should be easier to do the remaining 2 games. So
it sounds like they're essentially doing the video game development equivalent of how Jackson made the Lord of the Rings films, where not essentially. Well, no, not quite that, because obviously the Lord of the Rings films were all filmed simultaneously. They were filming parts of the Return of the King while they were doing Fellowship, but with this, they probably will be doing some aspects simultaneously, because, well, they'd be stupid not to. If they're wanting a trilogy, they ideally they need to write the story of the trilogy all in one go, or at least the overarching part of the story, and then just flesh it out between then. I same as you've said though, I don't see this. I'm not going to predict it, but I find it hard to believe this will work out as they're planning it.
I was just thinking if they just develop them at the same time or almost, when the last one will come, it may feel old, because if they're using older technology, it may look old. So they still have to do. I think they still have to do some technical work as they go. So I don't know.
I just think they're falling into the same trap as they've done with Cyberpunk. They've announced things, and they've announced. It's not even that they've announced things too early. They've announced a Cyberpunk sequel too early. If they want to make another 3 Witcher games, another trilogy of Witcher games, and they've also announced a Cyberpunk sequel, this is all to be developed internally. While they're still working on the Cyberpunk expansion, which is all bad done, it's too much. EA couldn't do this. Never
I think they
mind.
went, they went ahead with the Cyberpunk sequel. I think just because of the Edge Runner series
Yeah.
success, they just wanted to ride on that. I think at this point.
But it's not a plan for tomorrow. This is like their plan for the next 10 years.
No,
So
but
Yeah.
that's sort of my problem. They're setting things out too far in advance, and they are holding themselves to. Even now, they're holding to too much of a timeline. It's the same pitfall they did fall into with Cyberpunk. If Now, I will be the first to applaud them when they finally turn around and say, right, this is unrealistic, because it is. Anybody with a single brain cell knows that this is all unrealistic. And when they finally say, right, we're going to have to delay this, this is going to be then, this is going to, this is going to be set back to then, I'll be the first to applaud it, because they can't go do the same thing as they did with Cyberpunk. But they've Phantom Liberty. It's in the final production phase. That's fine. So that'll be out soon. They've already got people were supporting the Molasses Flood. So that's not too much of an intensive thing. This Project Polaris, which is developed by CD Projekt Red. That's well, in fact, I've just pulled up the article. 150 people currently involved.
yeah, they're also
Then
planning to expand, to accommodate this growth. They will
but
have
that's what I mean. But then there's another 2 games to come after this. Then there's Project Project I don't know, General Franco, the Cyberpunk sequel, which is going to take people. Then expanding with Project Hadar, which is, a new standalone IP, which has been in, like it says, IP incubation since 2021. So they're talking about 3 simultaneous AAA projects, which they can't manage one, as proven by Cyberpunk, and then
they,
also supporting a third party, and also supporting
but
Molasses.
they have, with Project Orion and Project Adar, they haven't given any dates. I mean, they just said we will do them, but who knows when? So it's
Yeah.
not really.
No. That's again same as when they first announced Cyberpunk. They didn't give a date, but the problem is you announce it too early, and then it piles on the pressure. It's not announcing things too early has the negative effect of piling on the pressure for people who are excited, but it also has another negative effect of when people who start excited then lose interest. There's no benefit in announcing things a decade early. There's literally no benefit in the slightest, and it makes no sense why they've done the same thing that they did with Cyberpunk, which ended horrendously.
I mean, the thing with, mostly this is for the investors. I mean, this is all information.
I know it's all for investors, but yeah.
And also, I think, it's a bit different than Cyberpunk, because with Cyberpunk, they didn't have anything else. I mean, they were finishing up The Witcher 3, but after that, it was just Cyberpunk. So people were just waiting for 5 years after the release of The Witcher 3 before Cyberpunk released. But,
Didn't they
in this
first
case,
announce Cyberpunk? Really? I'm sure they
Yeah.
first mentioned Cyberpunk about
They
10
actually
years.
they showed like a teaser. Yeah, I think it was just for recruitment.
Yeah, I'm going to say
yeah,
I
but
think it was partly for recruitment, but I know because they announced it really, really
Yeah,
early.
before The
my
Witcher 3 released, I think.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that's for sure. But like I said, this time there's going to have a lot more games coming out before, for example, Orion. So it's not like people will be just waiting for Orion from CD Projekt Red. They will release lots of other games before Orion. So
I understand that. I just think it doesn't change the fact that they could be a bit smarter with how they didn't even for investors, they didn't need to say, right, we're now making a trilogy in a new Witcher trilogy, and it will come out within 6 years of the first game releasing. That's an inordinate amount of pressure if they want to make the games on the same level as The Witcher 3, which people will expect. And then to also announce, right, we're also going to be working on a Cyberpunk sequel. Again, the problem with investors is they will now, it's not only fans, but investors now think, right, oh, this is in the pipeline. So there we go. And then to also announce another AAA, something new, a brand new IP, that's to expect all these from one studio, even if they've got two teams, is we wouldn't expect this from BioWare in the prime. It's an inordinate amount of pressure, and it won't just be from fans. It will be from investors as well, because investors are very, very short-sighted, as we all know, and they will now expect these within reason. They've got a timeline for the Witcher trilogy. They haven't got a timeline for everything else, and they will want it sooner than later. And we just know that's how investors work.
I think it all depends on, for both investors and fans, if the game they release, next, like Polaris, for example, if they are well received and if they sell well, then it will not be a problem to wait for the rest of the titles. If they don't, then that's another story, of course. But
it all rides on the quality of the next big game they'll put out, pretty much.
Yeah. I do think it's. I think. Well, I don't think. I know for a fact they've just put themselves in a. They've put themselves in a tight position now, and they've put a lot of pressure on the studio, and they didn't need to do it that much. They could have been a bit. They could have said, right, we've got a time scale, and we're going to release so many games within the next 10 years. Or within the next 12, 15 years. And that would have been fine, but it's mentioning the names, giving a timescale on the trilogy, and then everything else. And, well, we know for a fact that CD Projekt Red do not have the manpower or capability of developing what sounds like 5 AAA games while supporting another in a. I would expect this lineup to be done in 20 years. And the announcement now, you don't announce 20 years in advance.
By the way, we're forgetting that they have another team that works on Gwent that's still being supported. I don't know how big it is. But they're getting new content out fairly frequently. So
I think that's one of the big reasons that they switched to Unreal Engine 5, because Unreal Engine 5 allows for far faster development.
It will do once they're used to it, yeah, certainly.
So
once they got used to it, that'll be good.
Yeah, that's why they've said that Polaris, the first game in the trilogy, won't be released before 2025. So probably to be delayed, because of course all games are delayed. We know that AAA games get at least 1 year of delay, if not two.
To be fair, they may have been. To be fair, before they announced it, they were probably thinking we'll release it in 2023, and then they thought, well, we did delay Cyberpunk by 5 years. So they probably said 2025 as the delay.
Well, they always delay their stuff because the Witcher 3 was delayed. And to be fair,
it's a very big scope anyway, so 2025 is a full year. So they may have been thinking January, but actually release it in December, so I don't mind that too much. Yeah. Anyway, we'll all be dead before then.
If they release it, if they release it in 2025, then that means they have to release the third one by 2031.
And we will definitely all be dead by then. We'll have been taken over by the crab creatures, thanks to the flooding.
Probably, but I think they certainly hope that the Witcher series will still be going in 2025, so they can ride on the hype.
You know,
But
poor lad will be walking out on a Zimmer frame.
but for sure, I will say it is an ambitious plan, and perhaps, I mean, I understand why they announced Orion, because they wanted to, ensure everyone that Cyberpunk was still going to be in their plans. But maybe they could have left out Ada, like keep it as a surprise for, later down the road.
That would have been the smarter option, simply because with Cyberpunk, I sort of understand they need to announce something, or they need to release something Witcher and something Cyberpunk, simply because of the licensing deals. If you go so long without releasing something, you lose the license, or you have to end up renegotiating it. So that I understand that. As I say, I just think they should have been a bit smarter with it. They could have, even if they'd have just said, right, we're going to start a new Witcher trilogy, and not gave the 6 years between, for the 6 years scale, because I think that's too ambitious. And like you said, they could have just left out the fact that they're also currently developing another AAA whatever game. We saw how bad Cyberpunk went on the developers, and I don't care about the studio. They get what they deserve after all that. But we saw how bad it was for the lives of the developers and on the paying public. And the last thing I want is for all that to just happen again. I just want people to be smarter. But then again, I want the best for things, and the world is shit.
Yeah.
And on that news, what are we all playing?
Francesco.
I think we can talk about that. Yeah, this goes live on Tuesday, right?
Tuesday. Yeah.
Okay, so we can talk about that. Well, both me and Alessio, we tried out Wild Arts. That's the hunting game by Electronic Arts and Koei Tecmo and Omega Force.
Okay.
Their own Monster Hunter, their own take on Monster Hunter. I had to say, I really, really enjoyed it because it really feels like it's its own thing. It has some on the surface. It kind of plays like Monster Hunter, but it has its own thing. There are crafting mechanics, like you got this device that you can different shapes for this device, and you can craft springs, crates, zip lines, all sorts of stuff, and it's really fun how crafting is integrated in especially in the combat, because they have some interesting interactions with the different weapons. Well, there weren't that many; there were like 4 or 5 in this build, but there will be a total of 8, and it's really, really interesting, and I think it's very accessible compared to Monster Hunter. Even the latest entries in the series of Monster Hunter, they're more accessible than the older, but this one is even more accessible, and I think it has a real shot at becoming a very popular game, especially if Electronic Arts pushes it with the marketing, because they can do that, and I think it's on the right path. I think, and one thing that I noticed, even though of course it's a very early version, so there were performance issues and all that kind of stuff. You can really tell that this time they had a bigger budget, because I could tell from the interface. It's just more polished than anything that Omega Force has done up until now. It really shows how they had more money to work things out better. Well, It's still early, but it's a very, very good starting point. It makes me wonder how a Dynasty Warriors with a budget.
I was just going to say, so the question is it as good as Dynasty Warriors 9?
It's much better. Even in this state. The performance was on par with Dynasty Warriors 9. And they still have done some work.
No, but I agree that the crafting mechanism is pretty good, and actually it feels quite ingenious in a way, because it can both aid you in combat and in movement, and you can do a bunch of stuff with it. But I do have to say that it's looking pretty rough. I mean, in terms of performance, they are even allowing captures, and it was quite wild, because I mean, the game doesn't look that good. A bit like Stranger of Paradise, which is also a great Tecmo title, even though from another studio. But like that game, it doesn't look very good, and it runs it runs badly. But it's not the final build, of course. Although, I mean, there isn't that much time left. The game is out in February, so I don't know how much it can improve before the full release. Hopefully, a lot, because, as Francesco said, it's certainly going to be an interesting monster hunting game. But I do think they have to improve the performance a lot, because
I think this was very early, because I don't know if we can talk about it. We're not going to talk about it, but you saw the title screen.
Yeah,
I think this was very, very, very early, because I think it looks a little bit better in the trailer they shown, the gameplay trailer. It looks slightly better, so I think this is very, very early, even earlier than the. I think it's earlier than the current one they have.
and
hopefully it's like that.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, and even though I'm not very fond of this genre, I do prefer regular action RPGs, like Wolong, for instance. But yeah, I guess it could be something that Monster Hunter fans may look forward to. I mean, it's probably going to be a while before Capcom releases a new mainline installment, right? They haven't announced one, and they are busy with Dragon's Dogma too, hopefully. So
they're busy with a lot of things, actually. Capcom.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Anyway, we're getting quite on. So sounds like it was all right. I was interested in playing that, but wait until next year. As for me, I don't think I can say anything yet. No, on the one game I can't say anything, and then what have I been playing? I barely had chance to play anything much. Weeks ago I played I played a lot of Grounded, and then life decided to fuck me over. And obviously I did review Deerfield Chronicles, and in between little bits when I've found a few minutes to just do something in between Grounded and then current game, played a little just strategy games, random strategy games for bits of fun. I launched Three Kingdoms Total War 3 Kingdoms again, one of my only 10 out of 10s, and I'd bought Power and Revolution 2022 edition because I thought I like big strategy games. And then the game that Alessio mentioned, I keep thinking I might have to try that, but I don't want to buy it. So yeah. What was it? Strategy game, Alessio?
I don't know.
Well, you're not very much use. Superpower 3, that was it. I look at that, and I think I want to try it, but I don't think I've got the time. In fact, I know I've not got the time yet. And I'm also not buying it.
Putin Simulator.
Well, I wouldn't be Putin. We'll put it that way, but yeah. I wouldn't be Putin. But anyway. So yeah, not a great deal. nothing much that I can talk about anyway. So yeah, we'll have to leave it at that.
Yeah, and well, I guess
And-
that's it for today.
Yeah.
Sorry, what's happening?
Oh, I mean, that's it
Yeah,
for today.
it is indeed. So we will see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.